They're just waiting for the right opportunity. Now, I wouldn't be giving you any new information if I told you that you can get the tingles after you're married for somebody else. Ooh, happens every day of the week. Things aren't going well in the marriage, okay? We lost the tingles. All we ever do is argue with each other or just stay away from each other. In a marriage like that, it started last Thursday. 8 o'clock, he leaves home to go to work. Could have been her just as easily. 8:30, he gets to work and he does what he does every morning. He goes to get his coffee. But on Thursday morning, as he got his coffee, this lady walked up to the coffee pot and said to him, "Good morning." Ooh. Kindest words he's heard in months. Good morning. 8:30 in the morning and her hair is combed. And she smells good. And right away he feels a tingle. He goes back to work, and about 10:30, he sees her going for coffee, and he gets thirsty. "Are you new around here?" "Oh, what's your name?" "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, you know my friend, he used to work over there." A little coffee pot conversation. And the next few days, he arranges for a few more coffee pot rendezvous, and if he thinks that she might be feeling what he's feeling, he will say to her, "How about lunch someday?" And they have a nice, innocent lunch. But on that first lunch, he tells her what it's like at his house. Just so she knows where he's coming from, married but unhappy. And the next lunch, she tells him her story. Every woman has a story, a history. And then they start having lunches and talking freely about everything. And 2 months later, he's saying to himself, "Man, I don't understand this. I've only known this woman 2 months, and I feel closer to her than I do my wife. We've been married 15 years. I don't have anything else to say to my wife, but it's so easy to talk to this lady. It's like we're on the same wavelength." And then he will say to her, "I know a really nice place for dinner if you would ever be interested." And if she is, he will take her to a nice restaurant. I mean one that has fresh flowers and candles on every table. I'm talking nice restaurant. And many times after that first dinner, they will have an after-dinner rendezvous. Ooh. And a few more dinners and a few more rendezvous, and he is saying to himself, "Oh man, I don't know how my mother is going to handle this." If he has children, he will say, "I don't want to hurt my kids. That's the last thing I want to do is hurt my kids." And then he will say, "But you know it couldn't be good for the kids to be in our marriage and see the way we treat each other. You know that couldn't be good for the kids." Then if he's a religious man, he's likely to say to himself, "You know, maybe God just brought this woman along to give me a taste of true love." And 2 months later, he leaves his wife and goes off with this lady. Why? Because he lost the tingles here. In fact, I can tell you what he'll say at that point. "I don't think I ever loved her. We were too young. We didn't know what we were doing. It was just infatuation. It was never right. Oh, but this lady, she's a 10. Now, his friends can see her flaws, but he can't. His friends will say, "George, have you considered the woman's been married 7 times before?" And George will say, "Give her a break, man. She married losers. I'm going to make the woman happy. She deserves to be happy." But you know what nobody ever told George? And he'll never read this in a modern magazine. He'll never see this in a modern movie. Only place you find this out is in the academic sections of the library. George doesn't go there. We've studied the in-love experience. Dorothy Tennant, Bridgeport, Connecticut, long-term study. You know what she found out? The average lifespan of the obsession is 2 years. Some a little longer, some a little less. Average 2 years and we come down off the high. Now thank God we come down off the high. Because if we didn't come down off the high, you'd have to close down business, industry, church, education. You can't get anything done when you're in love. Being in love is next door to being insane. But nobody told George that. And George thinks he's got the real thing this time. But 2 years from now, George will come down off the high. And that's when he will find out why 7 other men left her. And she'll find out he's not Mr. Perfect. And the whole thing starts over again. Now, why would I discuss this with you? Because everybody in this building has the potential of feeling the tingles at the coffee pot. Don't think you're beyond that. And you and I have seen so many of our friends walk that road. So I'd like to give you a little help on how not to walk that road. The easiest time to handle the tingles is the first morning at the coffee pot. In fact, I don't think it's a sin to feel the tingles at the coffee pot. It's not premeditated. You don't get up one morning and say, I think I'll get a cup of coffee and get the tingles of whoever shows up. No. It's just that you're going to meet some people in your lifetime that there's something about the way they look, the way they talk, the way they emote that gives you a little tingle inside. I don't think that's sinful, but I think it's very dangerous if you're already married. So the easiest time to handle that is that first morning when you feel the tingles at the coffee pot. And what you do is you leave the coffee pot and go back to your work and you take the tingles to God. And you say to God, oh, Lord, you know what I felt at the coffee pot. Oh. But I thank you that I don't have to follow the tingles. Now guide me as I go home and do my homework. And you go home and do what I'm going to teach you this hour. And that's the day you swear off the coffee. You don't go back to the coffee pot at 10:30. In fact, you don't drink coffee anymore. If she leaves the company, you can drink coffee again. Right now, you don't drink coffee. And if you happen to sing on the praise team at your church and feel a tingle for somebody else on the praise team, and you want to hang around after rehearsals and talk, that's the day you should resign the praise team.
Right. Amen.
And if you're on a committee in your church and feel a little tingle for somebody on the committee, that's the day you ought to resign the committee. Now, you don't say to the chairman, I'm going to have to resign because I have the tingles. No. What you say is, I have been praying, and I believe it's God's will for me to resign the committee. And I can tell you, it is God's will for you to resign the committee. The best thing is, you don't let it happen.
That's right. Amen.
But what if you've already had the lunches? You've already had the dinners. You've already had the rendezvous. And you're already into what the world calls an affair and what the Bible calls adultery. What are you going to do with that? There's only one right thing to do with an affair. You break it off.
Amen.
Oh, but I'll die if we can't be together. No, you won't die. We've studied that too. No one in the history of this nation has ever died from breaking off an affair. Not one. A lot of folks died who didn't break them off. I did not say it was easy. I said it was right. It's not easy to break off an affair. Why? Because it is obsessive in nature. You do feel like you'll never be happy if the two of you can't be together. It's obsessive in nature. It's not easy to break off an affair. But I've never met a man or woman who ever regretted doing right. But they're in my office and other counselors' offices all over this country who did wrong 5 years ago. And now they've come down off the high and they're trying to get help in that second, third, or fourth marriage. Don't misunderstand me. I'm glad they're trying to get help. I'll do everything I can to help them. But you understand what I'm saying, folks? It'd have been a whole lot easier back upstream. Now look, I'm not here to clobber anyone. I know that a group this size, we have many people who have been married more than once. Listen, we can't go backwards. We can't unscramble eggs. We can't put toothpaste back in the tube. We have to be where we are, okay? But listen to me carefully. The greatest potential for your happiness, even on the human level, is with the person to whom you're now married. Amen. So let's give up this.
Yay!